Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Pod Strickland. I'm your host Shwin and Prez, and this is episode 254. I am joined on a chilly Thursday morning by my co-host Prez, that is at Presidente on Twitter. Victory Thursday morning. Prez, how are you doing?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same down here in DC. Rainy and gloomy and fucking cold.
Yeah, it's like
Probably colder up your way though.
a little bit colder probably.
You don't even got that dirty city warmth. You got fucking fresh air, crisp coolness.
Yeah, it's not pleasant up here right now. Um, but hey, it's almost Christmas, so uh, let's get excited. And before we get started, I have a few announcements to make. The first is the Strickland has an Instagram. That is right, we are on Instagram now. Check that out. Make sure you're following us. That is at thestrict.land on Instagram. We are posting all kinds of new content on there, so please give us a follow. We also have a YouTube channel where you may be watching this right now. If you are, and you haven't already, hit like and then hit subscribe to the channel. Help us get to 1,000. It would help us out a ton. We also have a merchandise store. Check that out. All kinds of fun designs. If you need something for Christmas, some last minute Christmas shopping, might be it. Might be the move. We also have a Patreon, which I'm sure you've heard before. There are a number of tiers. There's a $6 tier that gets you access to this pod that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to the Strickland mailbag that comes out every other week that is hosted by Andrew Steele, aka Doug, aka the Doug Bag. You also get access to the Strickland Discord, where the conversation never stops. Certainly has not stopped during this 5-game winning streak. I can tell you that much. There are further tiers. There's a non-dar tier that gets you access to Strick and Roll, my solo pod, where I rant and rave about the Knicks even more. You also get access to wonderful weekly articles by Jack Huntley and Matthew Miranda, two of the best in the business. There are further tiers. There's a $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and $100 tier. Those come with a variety of additional benefits like listening in on pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially co-hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day. Whether you choose to subscribe or not, none of this would be possible without you. So, without further ado, let's get started. The Knicks won an overtime game yesterday, 128-120 in Chicago against the Bulls of Chicago. They play again on Friday. I hate these like back-to-back games that the NBA is doing. I mean, I get it. It's to cut down on travel, but I don't know. It just feels weird. Anyway, it's good to get the first one.
It's different city though, right?
No. It's in
Oh,
Chicago.
it's both in the okay.
Yeah. They've been doing this. It's nice to get the first one because it's usually hard to win both. And I feel like you'd rather win the first. That way you don't have the kind of pressure to win the second one.
It's better
But
vibes.
also better vibes. Also winning 5 straight is nice. Also not blowing a game that you probably shouldn't have even been in position to blow is nice. We're going to talk about all that. But I just think, let's. There were a lot of people that were like, why is Brunson even playing? He's hurt. And I just want to say, I get the notion of that. And I get that, if he's hurt, we don't need to lionize guys for playing through injuries. Yes, if you can, and do take one for the team, that's obviously something that is very respectable. But we shouldn't lionize that stuff. Guys should take care of their health.
It's also a contusion, right? So that's really important. Like if it was a bad ankle sprain or something, then you could genuinely make it much worse. But if it's a contusion, that's basically a shitty bruise. Like it's a matter of pain management. Like if somebody curb stomped his ankle, it would really suck. But that's pretty much the main risk here. And I know we saw the Knicks party picture. Shout out to Svi, where he was where Jalen Brunson was in a boot. But that's really just precautionary to literally exactly that, to make sure he's not fucking walking around and then Julius or Obi accidentally clip his ankle and set the pain back a large amount. But for in game, if it's just pain, you can probably deal with it. It's not it's not that serious to me.
Yeah, and I also just think look, we're not doctors. Even if you are a doctor, you don't have access to the fucking actual medical information on his specific case. If the medical staff is clearing him and he feels fine, I don't really know what you're supposed to do about that, and I don't really get the point of complaining about it. And you know what? As somebody who like puts a lot on Thibs, I don't know how you put this on Thibs at all. Like, he's not a fucking doctor. He's
probably not involved in the decision making,
right? And I also have like never seen him with the Knicks anyway. Like, I don't know. I think he's been pretty good about if guys are out, they're out, like injured, and he's not rushing guys back. We've seen cases of this every year. And like, yes, some guys will come back and play through an injury. Some guys aren't great at that. Like, it's just case by case, right? Like, there's the Kobe's of the world who would play through like anything. And then there are guys who just can't function the same way. So like, it is what it is. I don't really like complaining about this stuff, because if Brunson says he's fine and the doctors are saying he's fine, then, like, I don't really know what we're supposed to complain about. Like, it just feels a little, I don't want to say disingenuous, but just like not fair. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it makes any sense to complain about that. And look, like, he started off pretty poorly yesterday, and I'm sure that if he had shot poorly, that would have been like, oh, see, told you should have sat. But guess what? He didn't. Played a pretty good game. Pretty awesome. Jalen Brunson, very good basketball player. Enjoy watching him play. Enjoyed watching the offense run through him in overtime.
Before we get to that, I actually like, how was the first half? Because I actually missed it. I got home at halftime from some stuff.
Oh yeah, some stuff. Drug deals over here. It was
neither
fine.
Confirm nor deny.
It was fine. It was like I didn't love, like, all right, I'll put it this way. People are going to think, and I'm sure that people listening to me like, oh my God, you're so hard on Julius. I don't know if this is a Julius thing. I think this is actually like kind of like a Thibs thing and general process thing. But like, he was really good in the first half. He made a lot of shots. Got to the free throw line a bunch. I didn't love the process. I thought, like, go watch the first 2 threes he made. They're good, assisted, clean, catch and shoot looks, decisive. And then watch the next 2 where he's like indulging in, off the dribble, step back threes and shit. And it's like, I mean, it's really simple for me. When Julius keeps it simple, he's really good. When he plays like he's 6'9", 250, brick shit house, and just gets to his spot decisively, 1, nobody can stop him from getting to his spots decisively. And 2, good things usually happen. When he tries to go into his Kobe, Kawhi, elbow jumper God mode, that's usually when he gets in really big trouble. And when we stop running an offense and just indulge him standing at the elbow with his hand raised, that's when we get in trouble. And like, look, people were like really hard on Quickly yesterday in the first half, and I get it. He didn't have a great performance, but like, there's a palpable difference of what he is doing and what he is able to do when it's like him, Deuce, and Randall versus him, Deuce, and Brunson, or not Brunson, and RJ. And like, you can't do anything if you're a point guard and there's a guy standing in the middle of the floor with his hand raised asking for the ISO. We saw this with Carmelo throughout his time, right? Where it was like, well, is that Carmelo's fault or is that the point guard's fault?
It takes a lot. Like, at the end of the game, Jalen, like the very, very end of the game, that's when Jalen, like, because Julius was still calling it. So for people who didn't see it, throughout the whole fourth quarter and overtime, we pretty much resorted to like classic Thibs ISO ball from last year. And Julius indulged the Thibs, did nothing to dissuade him. And at the very end of the game, the last couple of plays, Jalen Brunson just kind of called his own number, and Julius was still in the middle of the floor calling for the ball, but Jalen instead kind of just used it as a screen and was just like, fuck this.
but even then, like, there were enough possessions where he couldn't, and he had to just like throw Julius the ball. And that's
the hardest thing for Jalen right now is like, you can tell he doesn't want to, like, Julius has been playing so well that Jalen, he doesn't want to like overstep. And, Julius cooks a lot of guys, like you said. So I could see why Jalen was like, all right, let's just go with it. And then at the end, Jalen was finally like, fuck this.
Yeah. And the point is, like, even Jalen, who is like, He's better than Quick. He's the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Like even for him, he's got to walk this like fine line where he's trying to like help Julius, trying to like keep him happy, but then he's also trying to like help us win the fucking basketball game.
Right.
And it's like when you're asking, so like when you get these lineups where Randall's on the floor without RJ and without Brunson, he just goes into like he goes into like what we saw last year, right? Where it's just like, it's all me all the time. Give me the ball at the elbow. He sets the fake screen, right? Like the fake screen to get a token switch, or maybe not even get a switch, and then just puts his hand up, and like that's the possession. And like I'm telling you, like, watch when Quickly comes in, right? End of the first quarter, comes in or he comes in like midway through for RJ, and then watch the stretch where he plays with Randall without Brunson on the floor with about 2:30 left until the end of the quarter, and then watch the start of the second quarter, from the start until when the Knicks pushed the lead out to 10. And because at the start of the second quarter, Randall's not on the floor, RJ is.
Was
and
IQ just like with Randall? Was he just like
he's just tossing the ball?
Okay, yeah.
It's like, and it's like do I think he needs to be able to grow and like tell Randall to fuck off? Like, yeah. And does he need to just make better decisions and all that? Of course he does. But like, it's really hard to just like make good decisions when you feel restricted in that way. And I don't want to turn this into a Quickly thing because he's not even like one of the 5 most important players from yesterday's game or anything. But like, I watch stuff like that, and it's like, to me, that's not about Quickly. That's not about, Deuce. It's not about any of these guys. It's like, this is the stuff that hurts you. Even like, so yes, Randall was scoring well and shooting well, but it wasn't good process. And it's like,
and that showed in the end of the game where eventually we stopped, because he was like cooking a lot of the Bulls. So I understand why, like, in their like reptile brain, Thibs and Julius were like, oh, fuck this, nobody can guard me, right? Like, let's just do it. But like, even the weird Bulls adapted and made life tough. And Caruso's a great defender, and Randall made some tough passes, and Grimes made some tough shots out of this bad process, but it's still bad process. And it just, if you get into that in the modern NBA, it's even the best teams, like literally everybody except Kevin Durant, really, and even the Nets will like do Kevin Durant ISO, but also like Seth Curry is running around off ball and scaring people to death. So like, you gotta, it's just not enough. And the thing that's the toughest for me is, like, we know that despite their success right now, Julius, I don't want to say he doesn't care what Thibs says, but like, them being on the same page lately has been more like broken clock twice a day kind of thing than it has been like synergy.
Well, I'll say this, like, Julius is on a heater right now. So it's okay. Like, when a guy is hot, like, it's fine to just lean on him, right?
Yeah.
But what you want, like, there are good, again, it's just like, you can
lean on him in different ways. The best example was after the zillion plays of ISO ball, I think it was the first or second play where Jalen was like, fuck this. In overtime, I think Jalen, he tried to create a shot and got into the paint, didn't, kept his dribble alive. And he did all of that in the first like 10 seconds of the shot clock. So we still had like 12, 11 seconds left or something like that. And then by that time, like, the Bulls had been moved around the court, and Randall was able to call for the ball, not between the free throw line and the 3-point line, but between the charge circle and the free throw line. And JB was like, all right, let's give you the ball. And I mean, if you give Randall the ball there, then against this Bulls team, like, RIP, like, it's a wrap for them. Like, he's gonna score or get fouled. So like, there's ways you can still satisfy Randall's, like, I'm on a heater, let me get the fucking ball, and I'm the man right now. And even isolation basketball that Thibs likes in the crunch, but you don't do it outright in a predictable way with no action. and that's really how ISO superstars cook these days. Like occasionally, yeah, once at the end of the game, you might see true everybody standing still 1-on-1, but like most crunch time, that's not really how it goes. But I don't, barring JB just taking the reins and just doing that shit, like I don't see how this Knicks team can systematically do that because A, I don't think Thibs cares much for that, and B, even if he did, I don't think Randall cares what Thibs thinks for the most part in that respect. So I just don't see how they would break through that. So what you get is a situation where at the end of game, it's really going to be throughout the season and, maybe the playoffs if we're in there, which hopefully we are, that Brunson has a lot of pressure to just really it shouldn't be on him to create the system by which the Knicks play in crunch time. He's the best player in the point guard, yes, but like there should be buy-in from Randall and Thibs to play the right way at the end of the game, even if you're going to lean on Julius heavily, but there's not. And I fear we're in store for a lot more of this.
Yeah, I mean, look, I clipped the play yesterday. There are 4 straight possessions. Okay, they run 3 of them through Brunson. One of them is, he hits RJ on a cut for a layup. Next one, he hits Randall for a wide open 3, which he misses. Which again, he missed that 3. I'm not going to kill him for that. It's a great shot. It's a wide open 3, top of the key. He took it, no hesitation. I got 0 issue with that. Keep shooting at Julius. Good job. Third one, hits Grimes for an open 3, cans it. 4th possession down. Okay. This is like, I think it was, I want to say it was 109, 105 at that point. So you got a possession here where you can potentially stretch the lead out, right? What does he do? What does he do? You can literally see Brunson bring the ball down the floor, and he's telling Julius to clear out, get out of the paint. He's trying to clear out the paint so that he has space to attack, right? What does Julius do? You can literally watch him. He waves off Brunson, starts clapping his hands.
He was feeling himself too much.
No reason. For no reason. He just starts clapping his hands at the elbow, demanding the ball. And then at that point, Brunson's like, there's like 10 seconds left, right? Because you're trying to milk the clock. And so Brunson just runs the token pick, and then he sets him up. And Randall, of course, like shoves off Caruso on a shot attempt. And it's like, these are just, it's just, it doesn't matter to me who it is. Is that Randall hijacking the offense, or is that Thibs calling that play for him? Doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, like, if you can't control that as a coach, that's a really big problem.
Right, exactly. Like this is what it comes down to. Like, even if it is Randall, like we can't just hand wave away the fact that we were able to hand wave away the fact that Randall is out on Thibs despite because we were playing well and whatever, and it was working. But like, that's just gonna rear its head, like in some, and it'll probably be versus better teams than the Bulls with a lot more talent. So, it's on the coach. That's just one of the things that's on the coach. I know Thibs has done a lot of things well, particularly with changing up the rotation lately, but like, there's still. This is the thing with a coach like him. Like, you have lots of low-hanging fruit. You can improve and still have a whole lot to go before you hit like the level that many coaches around the league hit, which is just like, okay, your players listen to you, your rotation is reasonable, and your offense is modern. Like,
right. And to his credit, like, I wouldn't say the offense is modern, but the shot distribution is. Okay,
the shot distribution is, yeah.
Right. So that's credit to him. I think he's finally landed on a rotation that serves our purposes both in the short and long term. So credit to him for that. But like this stuff, like there's still process stuff he's leaving on the table, and I think it's like, and here's where it is, right? So if you want to apportion blame or responsibility or whatever the fuck, it's on Randall to not hijack the offense and run sets, and when Brunson's calling for a play, to like honor that, especially in the situation that was when like, and also he did not have it going in the 4th quarter, which is like fine. Like, you don't have it going in the 4th quarter, no big deal. Brunson does, let him cook. Okay, so that is on Randall. What is on Thibs is to get Randall to buy in. Okay, and then this is on the front office where it's like, if Randall will not listen to Thibs, will not buy into Thibs entirely, right? Especially in these situations, very specific situations. And these are the situations that you've won. This is why you brought Brunson in, right? This is why you brought Brunson in, was to presumably help with these end of game situations, crunch time situations, help make Julius's life easier, help make Thibs' life easier. And two, like, if you are sticking with Thibs and that's your guy, then you have a decision to ultimately make. That's probably not going to happen right now. I don't know when it would happen. Maybe it will never happen. But you can't have one of your top players basically go rogue at the end of games. And if it's either he's not listening to the coach or that's what the coach wants to do. Either way, it's a problem. It's on them to figure that out and address it. And if they keep ignoring it, then we might have. I think we're gonna have a good season. I think this season's gonna end up with the Knicks in a playoff spot at some point.
But
But
we're
like,
leaving wins on the table,
well,
same as last year.
and it's not just leaving wins on the table. It's also that doesn't like you can have a good season and still have problems that are going to become bigger problems down the line. And that's a situation where like when you're going from the season we had last year to okay, we just want to make the playoffs, we can have good vibes and be happy and all that stuff. And like this can be a successful season. But guess what? After you do that, your goal next year would be to improve, right? To be better. If you still have this issue that comes up where end of game stuff is like, it's not just that it's really kind of crappy, but that they're also not on the same page, you are asking for trouble down the line. So like it's just something that if you're the front office, even if you are not going to make a move with Julius during the season, and I don't think they will at this point, especially with Obi out now, you have to be cognizant of this and monitor this over the course of the year. And that's not to say let's be like to credit Julius, he has shown that he's willing to defer to Brunson at times. So like
Yeah.
this is arguably and maybe is part of the process of like him re-engineering his game to play off of Brunson. And to that point, like even yesterday in a game where I didn't love Randall's process a lot, there were stretches and periods of play and individual moments where like he really played off Brunson well. And like
They
because of
always
that,
play each other
yeah.
well. It's just figuring out like when to do it and how to do it. Like, and this is what I was getting at before. Like, I don't think non-ISO ball and playing through Randall are mutually exclusive. Like Brunson can initiate the offense, do his thing, run sets, get movement, and still get the ball to Julius. It's just later in the shot clock, and later in the shot clock's better for Julius because, as we know, he's at his best when he is making quick decisions. And I mean, you don't want it too late on the shot clock, like 5 seconds left. But if there's 10 seconds, he always gets a little more urgency to make a move and not hesitate too much in his decision making. So I really think that's when we're at our best, and a lot of the times when Julius is at his best, because if he's making quick decisions, like you said, it's very hard for most defenders to stop him, and he's still like he can still make all the same kind of like drive and kick passes, if he gets the ball with 10 seconds or 12 seconds as when he gets the ball with 24. He just cuts out all the fat in the process, and it works out. And I mean, Brunson has been worth every penny and then some, but this guy's so gifted that I would not be surprised if over the course of the season we just see him kind of take things into his own hands to do exactly that. Like it shouldn't be on him to make up for the deficiencies in this system, however you want to apportion late game offense to Thibs, Randall, whatever. But like the guy, like it was kind of astonishing to just see. I'm just so used to what we've had to deal with for so long with Thibs and Julius that like at the end of OT when Randall was just like, nope. I mean, when Brunson was just like, nope, Brunson time, which doesn't always mean Brunson shoots, but it does a lot mean Brunson shoots. That like I was fucking impressed. And even on the play when he dropped Caruso,
That play was ridiculous, by the way.
that play was ridiculous. And then one thing that I thought was wonderful was if you watch it, as the shot goes up, Randall, what does he do? he's not standing and watching. This guy fucking bum rushes the hoop and is ready to throw down and smash for the rebound. And this is what I'm saying. Like, there's a like Randall definitely thinks he's the man, and a lot of the times, like, with good reason, right? But like, he definitely respects Brunson like a lot. And it's not, he wears his body language on his face. There's a lot of the times where other guys will miss Randall or do something that he doesn't approve of, and he's just like, ah, fuck. But on that play, like, because Brunson had already made a shot and already set him up. So he had two plays, like in your tweet where you clipped it. He already had two good plays, and Randall was like, fuck it, Brunson time, and immediately went to crash the board. So we've seen him buy into that balance. When Brunson says it, he doesn't give a shit what Thibs thinks, but like, I really do think he values Brunson's leadership in a way that is not really true of anyone else on the team or anyone else he's played with. So it kind of sucks that we have to, that much is on Brunson, but I do think Brunson's up to the task, because with our good play and the new, like, you got to remember, we still haven't played that many games with this new rotation, and we really haven't played that many like fucking games that make you sweat. Like, we've blown a lot of teams out. There's been a lot of shitty teams or guys with injury or teams with injuries or whatever. So I think as this rotation plays more close games, I pray, maybe I'm just being naive or optimistic, but I think I could see Brunson kind of taking things into his own hands to maintain that balance. Because like, he's been on the other side of that, right? With Luka, where he knows it's fucking Luka time in the crunch. But this is why he came here, right? Like, he's talked about it endlessly. Like, he's a leader. He wants to be the guy on this team. And he showed it yesterday. And it was really the first time in, I don't know, 15, 20 games that we've really had like end of game Brunson back. So I definitely think as we play better teams, we're going to see more of that. And hopefully that lets us find the balance.
Yeah. And like, yeah, you're right. They've played 5 games with this new rotation. It is weird though. The Knicks have played already. They've played 4 overtime games. They are 2-2.
That is a lot.
Yeah, they're 2-2 in overtime games. But with this new rotation, this is the first time. So they're obviously 5-0 since they've gone to this. I just going to throw this out there. The Knicks will probably not go undefeated the rest of the year, but who knows? Maybe they will. But like, this is the first game where it hasn't been a double-digit win. And we're not.
Real quick though, let the record show, like, this should have been a fucking the fourth quarter. Like, even with the, like, this game was so full. We have to say it, right? Like, this game was full of lots of nonsense. Like,
The DeRozan stuff was ridiculous.
The DeRozan stuff was fucking crazy. Like, Julius had a lot of free throws, but like, most of those free throws were not on like mid-range touch fouls or whatever. Well, it was like him getting hammered under the hoop.
So to be fair, in the first quarter, he did get a first half, but mostly the first quarter, he did get a bunch of those, like, those type. Okay. But it's like, I don't know. I can't really. I know this sounds, and I actually even tweeted this out. I thought the Knicks were getting a good whistle in the first half, but like, that all just totally went away in the second half and went the opposite direction. And like I thought RJ, I forget who it was, and I'm, please, if you're listening to this pod, don't take it personally. But I got into a debate with somebody, like, very briefly, because I just don't like doing that during games, about like, he did not like RJ's performance, and he's like, he's fouling DeRozan. This is ridiculous. Like, he's got to avoid that stuff. It's stupid. And I'm like, okay, I get it, but also, one, they had a stat yesterday where it was like DeRozan has attempted. This was before yesterday's game. He'd attempted like 216 free throws coming in the game, which is 50 more than Julius, who's like our highest free throw guy, and they've played one less game than us. Like, DeRozan he draws fouls on everybody. Like, that's his game. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how good a defender you are. This is what he does. Second, like, a lot of those fouls were such bullshit. Like, I'm just sorry. They are bullshit. And they're the type of fouls, if you call that shit at the park, you're going to get into a fight. You know what I mean? Like,
they're the type of fouls that you only call for a foul baiting superstar in the regular season. That's what it is. Like, Kevin Durant's not getting those calls in the playoffs. Kevin fucking Durant, like, it's just, he has to shoot a jumper. Like, I'm sorry if you grazed his wrist or whatever with your hand or some shit like that. And then it was really fucking bad. Even on the challenge, Thibs challenged the foul, they got overturned. Like that was bullshit. Like who was shooting for the Knicks? It was a jump shot, airspace foul that got overturned in the.
Oh, it was Randall.
It was Randall?
Yeah, you're talking about the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Randall. He like had shot this fade away from them. And to be honest, like I had no problem with them overturning that, but it's like you got to be consistent then, right? Like if you're not going to call that, and I'm fine with not calling that, and I literally did not have a problem with it. But if you're not going to call that, or if you're going to overturn that, then you have to apply that. Like DeRozan does. It's just ridiculous.
If the amount of contact on that overturned call was negligible, because there was contact, there was leg to leg contact on the landing, then negligible contact has to exist with DeRozan, and they don't. That's just not a thing with him. Like any contact is a foul. It was crazy. And then on top of that, like, I mean, credit to the Bulls or whatever, right? Like they had some major shot making. Like we definitely had a lot of defensive farts in the fourth quarter, particularly my son Hartenstein, one of his worst showings. But like on the perimeter, Caruso was hitting like a snatch back, step back, long two. I mean, Zach was, I mean, he'll make these every couple games because he's gifted in that way. But like he was splashing. Kobe White hit like a 30-footer, and I was just like, all right, all these fucking free throws, and now everybody on the Bulls is fucking channeling the spirit of Michael Jordan. Like there's a lot of timelines where this game doesn't go to overtime, and this is just another like 8, 9, 10 point win. So I know like
Prez Strange over here.
I know exactly. But this is why I was, even though the process was ugly, it was still so satisfying because like they just, the Knicks brought some of that bullshit on themselves, but there was also some external bullshit, and they still managed to pull away with it, even though it wasn't pretty. And that's a credit to them. That's why you saw the guys tweeting after the game, like celebrating Mitch and Grimes and shit.
Well, like I also think like so they've won. Look, these are the games since they made the rotation change, right? Okay, I'm just gonna read it off real quick. Cleveland at home, 92. All these were at home except for the Hornets game and now the Bulls game. Cleveland 92-81, Knicks win. Hawks 113-89. Hornets 121-102. Kings 112-99. This is the first game where they had to get in the muck and they had to like grind it out at the end of a game and they had to find a way to win. And DeRozan's going to the line every single time. And they were dealing with a lot of shit, right? Like, and I know the Kings game was weird, right? Because Brunson goes out and Randall gets ejected. So like you're dealing with shit there, but it never got into that dicey, like, fucking hold on to your butts kind of time, right? It was just like they just kind of defended their way and kept that at arm's length. But yesterday was a game the defense wasn't great yesterday. And I don't think it was because the defense itself was like bad necessarily, but it was Chicago made a lot of shots and Chicago, they did a pretty decent job of producing shots. Like
you can have more, like it's not right. Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Like yesterday, it wasn't defensive lapses every time down the court, but it was enough defensive lapses that combined with the insane whistle and great shot making that, like this is one of those make or miss league kind of games where, if the other team is shooting like that and drawing fouls like that, your margin for error on defense is less. So this was not anywhere near the worst defensive games of this next season, but
and it's
the Bulls took advantage,
right? And you have to find ways to win in this league. And the biggest thing is like for any team, but especially if you want to be a good team, is you got to find different ways to win because sometimes your defense isn't going to be all the way there, and other teams are going to make shots, and sometimes your offense isn't going to be there, and you're going to have to find a way to grind it out. And like the Knicks have been doing that in this stretch, right? They couldn't score for shit against Cleveland, but they grinded that game out in like this disgusting ode to like the 90s Knicks or something, right? 92-81. You don't see that score in the current league at all. Like they're finding different ways to win. I think that's really important for them if you're like trying to develop an identity and just culture and all that kind of stuff. I think that's important. And I think they're finding like you look at the box. Look at the box score yesterday. I mean, the Knicks have They had 3 guys score over 20, 2 of them over 30. Like, if you look at it, I think the Knicks. I'm just looking at this right now. So if you look at like what is going on this season, I actually was going to tweet this out, but like the Knicks right now, okay, and I know the efficiency and all that stuff isn't there. Right now, Randall's averaging 22.6, Brunson's averaging 20.4, RJ's at 19, Quickly is the 4th leading scorer at 10, and then after that it's like 8 Cam at 8.4, RIP Cam, Toppin 7.7, Mitch 7.4, Quentin 7.4. Like this team is like quickly finding relative consistency, and Grimes just making some threes away from.
And Grimes is up to 38% low key. Like he's getting back up there real fast.
Yeah. So like they're not far off from making the type of like this could be a pretty potent offense even without.
This was a potent offense with us sucking at 3-pointers, literally being the worst shooting team in the league. Even us going from like the 30th 3-point shooting team to like the 22nd would be a massive boon.
Right. And I'm almost positive. I don't care what I don't care what Quickly shooting from 3 right now. I don't care what RJ shooting from 3 right now.
No, they'll get better.
They're going to get better. Like Grimes, you mentioned, right? Grimes is at right now. He is at 30. No, he's at 35%, 34.9% from 3. He's going to get better. Deuce is going to get better. Like they're going to have guys. The only person that you could maybe argue is shooting like above their head on 3-point shooting right now is Randall at like 30, and that's at 34%, which isn't like
above his head.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's and even if he is, it's just not like
all his indicators point towards him finding the touch. He's like over the last month shot like almost 90% from the line. He's shot like a zillion percent from mid range. Like,
yeah, and so yeah, like I think this team is pretty close to making a serious leap. If the defense, like again, like we mentioned, I didn't think they played bad defense yesterday. I thought the Bulls played well, and like that happens. Like they have DeRozan. They have even this version of Levine is like a pretty. He's not an easy.
Right,
cover.
They're disappointing, but they're not bums.
Yeah, and actually, like if you just look at their season, like they've been pretty unlucky. Just looking at this, like their net rating, right, for the full season is net minus 0.4. Like they're pretty unlucky right now in close games.
Better than their record.
Yeah, they're a lot like us last year, actually.
Yeah, I think there was a stat during the game of like I don't remember the exact parameters, but it was something about like something clutch, something whatever.
Oh yeah, their clutch stuff has been terrible this year.
They're like, and a lot of their games are in this situation, which is why it impacts their record. They're like 3-10 or something in those situations.
Yeah, and it's like they had that Hawks loss a couple of days ago, which was insane. They had that Orlando one earlier in the year. I think they were up 4 with like 17 seconds left and somehow lost that in regulation. Like they've had some horrible beats, but like so the point is like don't just look at their record. Like they're not a world beater, but they're about a 500 team. So like and last night they were favored by 4 points. So like the Knicks were the underdog coming into that game. They'll probably be the underdog again Friday night. So, like, you have winning games like this is really important, and you become a good team by going on the road and beating mediocre teams, and then you take care of business at home. What makes a great team is being able to take care of business everywhere you go. I don't think the Knicks are at that point now. Okay, but like, can they get to the point where they are? Can they be the 6th seed? That's kind of like where I'm at. Like, can they be the 6th seed? And I think they can be because I'm not scared of Toronto. I'm not scared of fucking Atlanta, who is absolute piss. I'm not scared of a lot of these teams that allegedly, oh my God, they added so much talent. Oh, they have a direction. Oh, they have a superstar. The Knicks don't have a star. They don't have a direction. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, the Knicks picked a direction finally, thank God. And you know what? Maybe they did. Maybe they do have a star. Maybe they do have a star because Jalen Brunson looks like a fucking star to me. And you know what? I'll say this. I have been the world's biggest Julius Randle skeptic, hater, whatever you want to put, whatever you want to label me as a negative towards Julius Randle. It is all fair game. They're all applicable. Look at the East this year. There's no reason he might not make an all-star team.
Oh, he's gonna make that shit. If we fuck around and stay hovering in this like clusterfuck in the middle of the East, like you have to. I mean, you have to pick a Knick, and my pick would be Brunson, but you look at the counting stats, which they do mean a lot in the voting, and if he continues this fucking heater that he's on, bro, like
yeah. So
shit,
like, right? Like that's so like the Knicks might have 2 all of a sudden, and who cares? Like I don't think any of us even
and
in
if
that.
there's all-star injuries and shit like that,
Yeah, and I think like even if we're even if you're being honest, like it's not like we really believe Julius is a top 25 player or something, but like
he's still hooping.
yeah, he's playing well, and so I don't know what that means long term in this case, but like for right now and for like what this team is trying to do, I think they're in a pretty good spot. And this is fun, and like basketball's supposed to be fun. I did want to talk a little bit. I still have seen like I really don't know what people want RJ to do, but like I thought he
have
played.
RJ thoughts.
I thought he played well yesterday.
Yesterday was my favorite RJ game of the season
Yeah,
by
so
a large margin.
I'll just say this: I get why you say that. All I
Yeah.
would say is the Knicks, and this is like probably the one long term thing I think they do need to make sure that they get figured out, ironed out, and done in a better way.
Yeah.
Is like I need to see like some of these ISOs for Julius. I would like to see like 2 or 3 of those be not ISO, but like ball handling sets for RJ.
Yeah.
Like if we can
what happened to RJ pick and rolls?
Yeah, like if
Like
we can
not
convert
pistol, but like
right.
yeah.
If we can convert a couple of those, I would like that because I think he's actually shown some growth there. But I like people were like, "Oh, he's not creating enough. He still doesn't have a bag." And I'm like, okay, he doesn't have a bag, but like, should he? Is that so? What? Okay, let's go with that. He doesn't have a bag. Fair to say. Prez as the resident bag appreciator, I think you would sign off on that.
Yes.
Okay, so RJ doesn't have a bag. So now that we accept that, instead of being frustrated by that, like, shouldn't we be happy that he's not trying to like do and one hot sauce level? Like he's not, right? He's just like doing very functional, brolic RJ things. And I'm fine with that. And yesterday, like, he took good threes. He slashed when he should slash. He had that sequence at the end of the fourth where he got stuffed a couple times, but I didn't mind that because he went to the rim hard. Those were not like his bullshit soft like I'm trying to like finesse this layup around. No, he went in hard. It got stuffed a couple times. It happens. And you know what? Mitch ended up getting a putback dunk on those anyway. So like when you drive hard and you command the defense's attention, these are the things that open up for you. And I thought, and he did not force much at all yesterday. I think he might have had one turnover that you could call a force. But like other than that, I thought he played pretty well. I thought his offensive foul that pushed off on DeRozan was ludicrous.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
That was absolutely ridiculous.
I was watching without volume and I was literally confused. I was like, I don't understand the call. Like,
do you watch without volume and you're like with your wife or something?
No, I watch without volume 99% of the time because I would just like. Sometimes I'll be in the mood for Breen and Clyde, but most of the time I'm like, I'd rather just listen to music, or I just fucking am a grouch about NBA announcing in general for the Knicks. It's either Mike and Breen who are like, if it's other teams, I could deal with it, but like you tweet about it all the time. The one Mike and Breen thing that Mike and Clyde thing I hate is just they're so generous about about the refs and the other team, and like I don't like announcers that are homers either. I would hate if the Knicks announcers were like, one of those teams that had hilarious homer announcers. Like there's a place for that, but I personally just don't enjoy that. But the other end of the spectrum is Breen and Clyde, where they're like, okay, like, well, these refs have an incredibly hard job, and well, to their credit, like RJ did lie finger on DeRozan's brain or whatever, and I'm like, all right, guys, come on now, come on.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about RJ, but before we continue, the NBA season is heating up, and there are still so many bets that you could place. Like, will the Knicks qualify outright for the playoffs? They might. They just might do it. When I'm looking to get in on the action, I bet with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to a 100% boost with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, Place a same game parlay and combine multiple bets like which team will win, total rebounds, and more. The more legs you add, the bigger the boost, the bigger your shot to win big. Download the app now, sign up with code TBPN, place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win their game, and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code TBPN, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Real quick before you talk about why yesterday's game was your favorite RJ game, which I'm gonna it definitely was not my favorite RJ game, but I don't hate that. He
There's
over
not
his,
much to pick from this year.
over his last 11 games, RJ is averaging 1 second. Let me pull it up because I did not have this prepared because that's how we do this on this podcast. We don't prepare things.
Go off the dome, haters.
Yes, we're freestyling all the time. So this is from that road OKC game until obviously last night's game. So that's an 11 game sample. He's averaging now 20 and a half points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 44.2% from the field, 37.9% from three on 5.3 attempts per game, 81.3% from the line. If you want the fancy schmancy advanced efficiency numbers, RJ over that sample is averaging. He's doing all that on 56.5 true shooting.
I'll take it.
This is like look, we got to see it for more. But as I have pointed out previously, and as I've mentioned to you, aside from that weirdo 5-game slump, which we can differ on, how sick was he? Is that an excuse? I don't like. I can excuse the shooting during that stretch. I think the process was so bad that you have to blame him for that stuff. But the shooting, I can just be like, okay, he was sick. But the first 12 games of the season, he was at 54 true shooting. Last 11, 56.5 true shooting. Average that out. I know it doesn't exactly work that way. I'm not going to do the math right now. That's about talking about a 55.5 true shooting for RJ over 23 games of the season. Is that perfect? Is that great? Is that the most ideal thing that's ever happened? No, but that's a pretty significant leap. And people got to understand this and stop bitching about it all the time. You didn't pay RJ to be an all-star. And and to be fair, you can say the same thing to me. You didn't pay Julius Randle to be an all-star. That's not the contract he's on. You didn't pay Brunson to be an all-star. These guys are not making all-star, all-NBA superstar money. They're getting paid to be solid NBA starters. And right now, I think you can argue for sure that Randall and Brunson are. And I think RJ's pretty much there. I think he's pretty much there, even given the defensive stuff that me and you have talked about endlessly and the inconsistency at times offensively. He's getting pretty good. He's getting to a pretty solid level. And let's see where the efficiency stuff is at the end of the year. But the way he's trending, it looks like finally, maybe, potentially, he's making a significant leap, and that significant leap is because he's shooting better from 2-point range and the free throw line, which is nice.
Yeah, his even through the worst parts of the season for him, his he still has definitely his fair share of moments where I'm like, do you have no feelings in your hands when you go up for this layup? But he also the fadeaway floaters are really no longer a thing.
He did take one yesterday. It was very funny.
Okay, they're mostly not a thing. Most of the time now when we talk about, good God, RJ, where is your touch? It's layups, right? And that sounds like a boring difference, but it matters a lot because if you take more layups and less floaters, your efficiency is going to go up. And then when he does take floaters, like I've said it, he's come to rely on these these floaters where the ball barely gets over the rim, which is way different than IQ floaters, much less Derrick Rose moonball floaters. But he, those short, low altitude floaters, they go in for him at a respectable clip. If you look at his I pulled his floater numbers on Instat the other day, and he was 45%, which is not just good, it's exceptional. Actually, it's not top of the league crazy Chris Paul Halliburton IQ style where it's well, I don't know what IQ's at this year, but those guys will shoot at 50% or whatever. But whatever, it's good percentage and decent volume. So the 2-point improvement, even through all the shittiness, we saw that coming. And then now, I mean, we'll see what happens, but one thing that I think I've learned this year and last year, both from the NBA and from some draft prospects, is I think I've always underestimated. This is gonna sound stupid, and listeners might be like, "Yo, yeah, no shit, Prez, you fucking idiot." But like, if for whatever reason, whether it's injury, you put on too much weight, you're sick with COVID, a combination of different things, like it can take a really long time to get your legs under you, particularly if you're not like an elite athlete. Like we saw it with Mitch. I mean, Mitch was an elite athlete, but that's back when he was like young and skinny. Like now, Mitch, he's a good athlete for a center, but I don't think anybody would call him, an elite athlete. He's not like Jalen Duren level or anything like that. Um, and he's a big dude. So like it took him many games to, he put on too much weight after injury. And this year with RJ, you're kind of seeing the same thing. And it's only been 2 games of him moving well. And I'm going to try to pull some clips for Twitter. But like yesterday, just watching the game on offense and defense, there were just several plays where he just went fast. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And the first one was that weak side block he had the other day.
Against
When he was,
Sacramento.
when he was playing the 4. And at the time, I had kind of chalked it up to like, okay, RJ at the 4 is going to be like around the rim more, and good for him. Like great block. Like I love to see it. It was the 3rd or 4th block of the year. He got another one versus the Bulls. But it wasn't even that. It was like just random like sprints around the court with and without the ball, where I was just like, oh my God. Like, I mean, he doesn't look like Zach LaVine burst out there, but compared to slowpoke RJ that we were used to, it was kind of, it jumped off the screen for me. And even on his jump shots, this is more anecdotal, but it looks like he is able to like get a little bit more legs and bend into it, which is really important for him, just how he shoots. And you even see the ball fucking like it just flies off his hands better. He had 1 3 yesterday where it didn't, but like all of the threes, even the misses for the most part, just like flew out of his hands. And I think that it comes from the legs with him. And I'm really excited to see that continue, particularly. I mean, it's wonderful for the offense, of course, but especially for defense. That's where him just being slower than like a bunch of fucking power forwards has just killed him all year. So if you can keep that up, I mean, like the Bulls are a good team for him to like get his legs back on defense.
They're top 10 defense, by the way.
Yeah.
They're defensive rating. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where even without Lonzo, that's where they've hung their hat to this. You spoke about their net rating. Caruso, Pat Will's a huge disappointment, but he still can play defense. I don't even know who the fuck else be playing defense. Shout out to Coach Donovan, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Vooch, I don't know. But he's just moving well, and that to me is significant for the fortunes of this team long term, because in addition to his impact on games where we were like, okay, he's high usage, not making shots, not playing defense, like what the fuck is he good for? Like, do we have to trade him? Should we bench him? Like it went full Knicks fan doom spiral, across the fan base. But like if he's solid efficiency on good volume, respectable from 3, and respectable on defense, and just moving like a wing, like that is huge for the like whether he stays here and continues to improve. It sounds corny, but this fucking guy's only 22. Like he's still got plenty of improvement left in the tank, right? Like I know we love comparing him to like OG Anunoby. This motherfucker's like 4 years younger than OG Anunoby, all right? Like or something like that, 3 or 4 years. So for his improvement, for the wins now, for him as a trade piece down the line, should that ever be a thing that they need to do, like it just gives us so much more options. And his game is just so based in physicality that he needs to move well. So like at first I was like, my favorite thing about this game was how RJ Barrett moves. But after the Jalen Brunson crossover, I can no longer say that. The Brunson crossover was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. My soul left my body.
And being on Caruso for a variety of reasons was It was really good. By the way, I know the Knicks are apparently looking for some kind of veteran help. I would not mind adding Alex Caruso to the mix. Just throwing that out there.
Oh man, the Bulls would have to really shut it down, though.
I mean, I think the Bulls should really shut it down.
I mean, they should definitely consider shutting it down.